Well, he owns it. Elon Musk pulled off the Twitter deal in 12 short days. He's drawing intense criticism already from the left, too. Some calling it, quote, dangerous for democracy. Musk tweeting yesterday the following. He said, I hope that even my worst critics remain on Twitter because that is what free speech means, end tweet. Seth Dillon runs the Babylon Bee. He's the CEO, and he's been banned from Twitter for a month. How you doing, Seth? And good morning to you. Thank you for your time. I haven't seen any tweets from your site. Are you allowed now? Are you back on, or have you chosen not to launch yet?
We're still locked out. I mean, Twitter's been requiring that we delete a tweet that they didn't like in order for us to get back on the account. At this point, I mean, I wouldn't really have any expectation that we would be unlocked just yet. I mean, at this point, Twitter's just merely accepted Elon Musk's bid. So he's not really in control of the company, I don't believe, at this point. So we're waiting to see what happens.
How has that affected your business to be locked out of Twitter?
Well, on the one hand, it's good because it generated a lot of media attention, but that only lasts for a few days, right? So I think it just sidelines us from the discussion. It makes us a little bit less relevant. We're not involved in the public discourse. We're not getting shared by big accounts. You know, it's a short-term boost when these things happen because they draw attention to you, but long-term, it's very damaging if you stay off the platform for, you know, an indefinite period.
You know, Seth, I saw a number earlier today that said of Americans who are on social media, 2/3 are on Facebook, but less than a quarter are on Twitter. And I just wonder if the outsized attention given to Twitter is more of a media fascination than it is for everyday Americans. What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, Musk has called Twitter the de facto town square. And I think one of the reasons that he says that is because, you know, it's where Twitter's a great place to go and listen. It's not as good of a place to interact with your friends and family as it is to interact with people who are in the media, personalities, celebrities, hearing from government officials. You know, there's all kinds of government officials making statements to the public on that platform, notable people making statements on that platform. So I still think it's a very unique channel, and it's a place where a lot of people go for information, including myself. I mean, I spend a lot of my time on Twitter just consuming the news there. So it's different than the other platforms, but I do think that he's right to call it the de facto town square just because of who's there, who's speaking, and who's listening.
Yeah, I agree with that point about information. Yeah, well taken.
Well, he's talked a lot about the importance of free speech, and of course we know that's important in a democracy. I would argue also, and I would love your take on this, that parody, comedy, it's something that actually keeps a democracy healthy. And if elected leaders need to be able to take a punch and understand a joke and be willing, and sometimes obviously they know when it might cross a line. I mean, when you think about what you do, in a way, is that just your version of figuring out a way to participate in the town square?
Yeah, I mean, the importance of it is it can't be overstated, I don't think, because when you have a conversation that's one-sided and there's people that you're not even allowed to make fun of, then how can you challenge them? How can you challenge their ideas? Mm-hmm. You know, we need to be allowed to poke holes in the popular narrative. And at the way that things have been running up to this point, Twitter's rigged the system that you can only promote the popular narrative. If you try to make jokes about it, you're accused of hate speech or misinformation or some, you know, nefarious euphemism for what's really just censorship. Ultimately, what they call content moderation is censorship of views and opinions that they don't like. Mm-hmm. And so Musk wants to open that up and say, you know, people are allowed to have differences of opinion. In fact, it's necessary for people to have differences of opinion and be able to engage with each other and even joke about each other, or you can't have a healthy democracy. So I think it's great that he sees that and that he's doing something about it. It's just it's hard to believe this is really happening, honestly, because I wasn't expecting an ultra rich, you know, the world's richest man to come in and have to fix this problem for us.
You're right, totally about that. On the content moderation thing, I think it's something to watch. I mean, we're just a few short years removed from a mass murderer in Christchurch, New Zealand, who FaceTime live. I mean, the murder spree he went on in the South Island. That to the side. Listen, there are a lot of people out there who have got it in for Musk right now. Elizabeth Warren's one of them. She writes, call for two guys. This deal is dangerous for a democracy. Billionaires like Musk play by a different set of rules, accumulating power for their own gain. We need a wealth tax and strong rules to hold big tech accountable. I could go on and on. ACLU's out there, NAACP. This for a site that banned you. This for a site that banned the story on Hunter Biden. That's now being investigated by a federal grand jury. This is the site that canceled a former U.S. president. The shoe is on the other foot.
Yeah, well, they're not afraid of being banned. This is the thing. I have heard a couple crazy, outlandish comments about, oh, well, he could come in and make Twitter a place where, political opponents are silenced or whatever. Just totally tone deaf to the fact that that's what Twitter has been up to this point. But the thing is, I think the important thing is to note they're not afraid of being silenced. They're not afraid that Musk is going to come in and ban them and suppress them. They're afraid he's going to come in and open it up, and that they're actually going to be challenged, not silenced. And so that's the really interesting thing is there's a fear of free speech, and it's really telling who's worked up about it.
Well, then they are. We've saw a lot of that, no doubt more to come on all of it, and we'll talk about it on the 5 as well. Thanks, Seth. Good to have you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.